Earlier this week on our excellent television show, we showed you video of the disgraced former CIA director who voted for the Communist Party candidate for president. His name is John Brennan, and Barack Obama made him CIA director. You saw him blowing his top a little bit when he was confronted over signing the infamous, the felonious 51 letter in 2020, where they all lied and claimed that the Hunter Biden laptop reporting had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation, when in reality our own CIA was running a disinformation campaign against us. And that was a very terrible thing. Here's just a little reminder of what happened there.
And you misrepresented that. We never said it was disinformation. We said it was Russian influence operations, which is what they do. There's a big difference between influence operations. No, you don't know that. Yes, you don't know. Comey knew. The literature said it had all the hallmarks.
Brennan then tried to call in a drone strike on that man, but he's not CIA director anymore. So,
he's not a Venezuelan drug
so why was Penitentiary Face so hot under the collar there? Maybe because he was expecting the news that the Justice Department and officials here in Washington and in Miami are preparing subpoenas, not just for him, but for other people as well, in the investigation into Brennan's role in the phony, baloney, corrupt Russian collusion hoax that our government used against President Trump like we're a third world banana republic. And according to several reports, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, named Jason Redding Quinones, is supervising the investigation and actually preparing the issue of several different grand jury subpoenas. Kind of a big deal, I think, and long overdue. And I'm hoping, Foldy, that at some point we'll start looking like a first world country again.
A lot of Florida connections in the segment, actually. I met that guy, Jason Quinones, at Bianca De La Garza's birthday party when I was in Miami last week. Incredibly sharp guy. This is a veteran prosecutor, was in D.C. for multiple DOJs, and is now, I think, home in Miami for him. And Mercy obviously isn't here tonight because she was hosting her CPAC event in Florida as well this week. And one of the people who spoke at that was Tulsi Gabbard, who was there speaking with Mercy and Alexa Henning. And what a vindication for Tulsi Gabbard this whole thing has been after she declassified the whole report that became Obamagate. All of the stuff that we never would have known about. I don't think any of this, I don't think Jason Quinones is able to do any of this stuff without us learning what happened from Obamagate. And even at the time that we started covering that, we noted the complete paucity and lack of any coverage of this by the Pulitzer Prize winning outlets that wrote the complete opposite, that wrote the Russia collusion hoax. And that's why, it's important to note that elections have consequences in a lot of ways. And if Trump had not won in 2024, do you think that any of this would have been happening? I think John Brennan would have been pouring water on someone else, as opposed to the video that we saw earlier this week. Right. And by the way, I'm still disappointed that you weren't the guy who confronted him. Next time.
I wasn't there. Yeah, maybe next time. So, Jason, do you think that John Brennan, Penitentiary Face Brennan, the Communist Party voter, that he'll ever be held to account for his misdeeds? And you know that he ran an information operation against the American people with that felonious 51 letter.
Yeah, no, I disagree, but I will say that I understand why he was upset. There's one thing to attack somebody, for many different things, but to attack their integrity, particularly in their jobs, I could see why that would be, frustrating and make somebody very upset. But, in this situation, we see a lot of the retribution campaign of the Trump administration is falling flat in a lot of areas. So we'll see how it works out with John Brennan. Letitia James, that seems like it's falling apart. James Comey, that seems like it's falling apart. My high school classmate, we'll see.
Not classmate, let's be clear. You're way younger.
Not classmate. Fellow alum. I don't know where that's going to go. I think that's one that gets a little trickier. But a lot of these other cases are falling apart. But again, when you have the weight of the federal government on you, even if, he's not guilty, they can still break him.
When
So
you're Donald
just-
Trump and you have the whole weight of the federal government on
Right.
you, you get reelected president.
And everybody around Donald Trump that had all of that. Look,
Yeah, well,
John
he
Brennan,
committed a crime.
when he was CIA
Or crimes.
director, they spied on everybody, including our colleague James Rosen. They spied on the Associated Press. They spied on the New York Times. They spied on the Senate Intelligence Committee. They hacked and stole their emails and then lied very publicly. John Brennan did about their spying on the Senate Intelligence Committee, that they were undermining. The Felonious 51 letter was an information operation, the kind of thing that the CIA runs in third world countries to undermine their presidential elections, and we pay them to do that. And they did that here against the United States of America, and they corrupted a presidential election.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, Jason, in some ways, to your point, I mean, if there is no there, then they have nothing to worry about. But there deserves to be a peeling back of the onion. And I think about the fact of, gosh, if we had a different administration right now, all of this would stay buried, stay hidden throughout all of these investigations and process. I wasn't alive during Watergate, but I keep getting kind of like,
None of us were.
if I was, flashbacks to Watergate. And, you think about the people that kept asking questions, that kept pressing forward. And none of that information, like we wouldn't have any of it if people weren't willing to follow the breadcrumbs.
But-
and that is what the Trump administration is doing here, is following the breadcrumbs.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.